Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me for the second part of our Create Your Own board game. And I wanted to today talk a little bit more about your inspiration. And I'm going to share a little bit of my own just as an example and to show you what you can do with what you decide as your theme or your topic that your game is going to be all about. So like I mentioned, we really are using the things that we have at home, the supplies, anything that we're able to find. So it's all going to look a little bit different for each of us, and that's okay. The other thing that I wanted to mention is even if you're not completely done with your board game by the end of this week, I would still love to see a photo of your work in progress. It may be something that you don't finish, for another few weeks if you're putting your time into it. So I'm really happy to see, like I said, works in progress work for me. So let's take a look at what I've worked on since we were together last time. So, I had started my outline of my board. And at first I was kind of thinking, like I mentioned, Dr. Seuss and that type of thing. But as I thought further, and as I was filming some other tutorials, I was kind of thinking of something I would share with you. Years ago, I learned how to surf and paddleboard, and especially paddleboarding more so right now, is something that I look forward to all the time. So I'm hoping one day I'll be able to practice it a little bit again, and it's inspiring me for my game board. So what I decided to do was I just started shading in a little bit. I'm not done with that, but I added in some little details, and I added in some ideas of what I'm going to do as far as my surfing game. So I put in here best wave of the day, go up 4 spaces. Over here I put wipeout, go back 2 spaces. So I went ahead and set up my game board, and I'm going to continue again with the surfing theme. Now, a really simple way of making game pieces is you can just take a piece of white paper and you can go ahead and you can trim just a little edge, a really narrow edge like that. And then you can cut just a small piece at the end. And what we do is we call this a table tent when you just fold it. It's really simple. Just fold it like that, and it will stand up right on its own. So that's like the simplest way. You can make it a little more complicated. You can bend the other corners and tape it. So you can make it a little bit more complex, or you could do it even out of cardboard. But this is like the very simplest way. So what I decided to do is I made mine a little surfboard. And so that's going to be my little game piece that I use at the beginning. And I would obviously make as many of those as for the people who are going to play my game. Now, another idea that I had was doing the same theme, but instead for, again, our collection game. So going around the game board and collecting. So I just started with collect 3 waves. So what I would do is I'd make these my pieces. And for example, I would take my Sharpie here, and really simply, I would continue with that game, with that motif of the waves. And I might just shade it in like that to make it more of like an abstract or graphic print, okay? And then those would be in the middle. I might even want to make that a little bit smaller. I just wanted to share another idea that I had too. I happen to have some of these little molding pieces. So you can obviously make these into tokens if you wanted to, and those could go in the middle of your game board. So you can make that into a token of some kind. Again, this is just my concept, my idea, but it can work for anything that you're thinking of, whether it be a book that you've just read and enjoyed, a series that you like I mentioned, video games, a hobby, if you play music, anything like that could be part of your theme, and you could just, create your game pieces out of that. So again, this is all going to look a little very different for everybody based on what you have available to you as far as supplies. And what I really wanted to focus on is the fact that it really can just be as simple as a piece of paper. It doesn't even have to have the cardboard on the back. It can be just a simple game mat that is just a piece of paper, okay? It's cool if we can make it 3D like that, even with our table tent, and make our pieces, but we're using the most basic of supplies to make a game that could be really fun. So the last piece that I wanted to bring up is to think about your rules of your game. So one of the things I wanted to highlight is a game such as Uno, let's say. So it's such a simple game. It's so basic. It's just a quick card game. And because the rules are really simple, I think it makes it really fun because it makes lots of age groups able to play together. So just something you want to keep in mind, instead of making really complicated rules, see how simple and how basic you can make them to try and incorporate a lot of different age groups into the creation of your game. So I cannot wait to see what you design. And just as a reminder, it doesn't have to be all finished. In fact, I'd rather see a work in progress because I like to see kind of where you're going with it and what you're thinking of adding going forward. So I hope you like this project. And again, I cannot wait to see your creativity. I miss seeing what everyone creates also when I am with you in the Inquiry Lab. So I was thinking of adding in a little bit of those ideas as well. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.